Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my Virtuous Last Words Let's Play to the maybe finale, possibly, probably, right? The last time we finished up this section and went all the back to the past and talked to Akane when she was alive. We were talking to her hologram first, and then talking to her real self in the past, and now we go back to the present, and now we know that we got the key to the gravestone in the bee garden from her, which we potentially had the entire game, but obviously didn't know about. So, yeah. Let's see where that's gonna lead us.
Oh, looks like you're awake.
When is this? Is this the infirmary?
Why are we here?
Do you know what happened at the AB gate?
Kay and I went back to the infirmary, but...
We waited and waited, and the two of you never returned.
So we went to the warehouse to check on you.
We found you passed out in front of the AB rooms.
Kay and I hurried back here with you.
I looked over at Fi and met her eyes. Do you remember what happened just now?
You mean what happened a long time ago?
Yeah. You got him pretty good, huh?
Yeah, I remember all right.
Hey, what are you guys talking about?
Quark!
What am I, top liver?
Alice!
Back among the conscious and not psychotic, huh? Yeah, thanks.
Grandpa told me what you did. Thanks for finding the medicine for us.
No problem. All in a day's work. Although, I wouldn't mind a little swimsuit action.
Really grabbing at straws here, aren't you?
Yeah. I wasn't talking to Quark. I was talking to Tenmyoji, of course, anyone. That was an offer for Alice.
Not really my point.
Also, I mean, she's already showing so much skin. Like, do we really need to see her in a swimsuit? I feel like that wouldn't be that much more erotic than her normal outfit.
Oh, whatever. Forget about that. Now that you guys are awake, all we gotta do is open the number 9 door.
Huh?
What are you talking about?
Look at your bracelet.
It says 10. I have 10 BP.
I've got 15 BP? That means I got 6 more points while I was out.
But how?
You've been asleep for more than 2 hours. We've played the AB game 3 times.
3 times?
Yes. Of course, the color and group assignments were shuffled around each time. But no matter who voted, everyone chose Ally. And now all of us have enough to leave.
I was stunned. How had everyone cooperated long enough to raise all of our BP past 9? Was it because Akane hadn't been killed? Without a death to start things off, maybe we'd been less suspicious of one another. Or could the bombs have had something to do with it? We'd all joined forces against Dio, and Fi and I had been able to disarm all of them. All of us had banded together against a common enemy and overcome a tremendous threat. Perhaps that had strengthened our bond. Which I had to admit would be somewhat ironic. After all, Dio had planted the bombs that forced us all to work together against him. This must have been what Akane was talking about.
Haven't I told you? Death was unavoidable.
I mean, you didn't die, though.
Sacrifices had to be made for the sake of the project.
Okay, I guess no, but if she died, then you would have found her body, so she didn't die.
Come on, let's go! Let's open the door and get out of here!
Wait. What about him? Comes after that. After some discussion, we decided to leave Dio behind. I mean, he deserves it. Alice was the only holdout. She complained about wanting to take him back to her superiors, but after I mentioned they'd come back to investigate after we escaped and deal with Dio then, she reluctantly complied.
All right, let's get going.
But the key... The key, though... I mean... Warehouse A. Everybody ready? I'm gonna open it.
Yes, just get on with it.
Everyone else swallowed and nodded. I grabbed the lever and pulled it down. Open.
The number 9 door has been opened. It will remain open for 9 seconds.
Alright, everybody, let's move. I didn't need to tell them twice. The room inside was clearly a loading elevator. It looked sort of like a large plate on top of a huge pedestal. We ran to the center of the plate and turned around. The number 9 door stood wide open.
2, 1, 0. The number 9 door is closing. The number 9 door has closed. This ends the nonary game. Thank you for your participation. As the game is over, all doors other than the number 9 door have been unlocked.
Well, we're out of here. Everyone together.
Looks like we did it.
Yes, we should keep moving.
Beyond the door was a wide hallway that ended in a very solid wall. To the left we found a very familiar looking door. We pushed it open and went in. So can Luna follow us? Like, can she be removed from her brain? Like, also really far? Pressure exchange chamber.
You know what this place is?
Yeah, sort of. This whole facility is pressurized, apparently. I think the idea is to keep the air outside and consequently the virus from getting inside. That means that if we want to go out, we have to decompress so we match the outside air pressure. This room here is where you're prepared for going into the actual pressure exchange room. We see all those suits along the wall? I figure we need to put those on and head to the decompression room downstairs.
Whoa! Hold on a minute! You're saying the air outside is full of that horrible virus?
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Of course, according to Akane, we were all already infected with Radical 6, so the whole room seemed a little pointless.
Why? How did all this happen?
Did they...
No, that's not possible.
We've come this far. We can't turn back now. Let's go outside. There's no way to know what's really going on until we do.
All right.
No one else objected. We all donned the protective suits and headed downstairs to the decompression room. So, is Kay just in his normal suit? As soon as we were all inside, the process began. Through my helmet, I could hear the soft hiss of air being sucked out of the room. We stood there for several minutes, waiting for the process to finish. At last, it did, and we heard the door begin to open. Beyond it was another decompression chamber. We repeated the process 2 more times before we reached the final door and opened it. Still so creepy. The dead, bleak landscape wasn't a surprise for me. I'd seen it before in another timeline. The others hadn't, however, and although I couldn't see their faces through the visors of their helmets, I heard more than a few gasps over the radio. For a few long moments we just stood there, astonished.
Where the hell are we?
The desert, I guess?
I figured that out. I mean, which one?
I don't know, but
Nevada?
I think I know what day it is.
Hmm?
Look at the moon. It's red, right? That means today's the total lunar eclipse.
So?
Remember the astronomy magazine in the lounge? Well, the next eclipse like this was going to be on December 31st, 2028. So...
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Are you suggesting we were sleeping for a week after we were abducted?
Nah, man, we were sleeping for much longer.
I think so.
Wherever we were must have been far away from any city. The air was clearer than I'd ever seen it. And the stars. The sky was full of them. More stars than I'd ever seen in my life. I could even spot the hazy arm of the Milky Way. But the most striking feature was the moon. It was blood red and massive. Much bigger, in fact, than I remembered it being. Then as I watched, a black spot began to move across its surface. It was hard to see details, but it looked circular. The spot continued to move across the moon, heading for the right edge. What's that?
The moon. Well, the moon's shadow, actually.
The moon's shadow? I frowned. That didn't make any sense.
Zero told me to stay quiet. I think he was worried I'd spill the beans on his operation. He said if I didn't toe the line, he wouldn't just kill me. He'd kill Quark, too. And I agreed, like an idiot, and brought Quark with me. Just so I could see her. Such an idiot. So, that being the case, might as well start with this. I meant what I said before. That up there is the moon's shadow.
What the hell are you saying?
Think about it. If that's the moon's shadow, then what's it falling on?
That's Earth?
I knew it! I knew you were in space! I knew it!
Yeah. It's not the red moon you get from a lunar eclipse. And again, this isn't a lunar eclipse. It's a solar eclipse. Anybody in the black spot down there is looking up at the moon, covering the sun.
What? No way. If that's the Earth, then where the hell are we?
The moon, of course. This is the lunar surface. We were just inside a moon base.
And he knew that.
Way. No, you've got to be lying. How do you expect us to believe that? This can't be the moon.
Yeah. That's pretty ridiculous. Besides, if this was the moon, how do you explain the gravity? The moon only has 1/6 of the Earth's gravity. So what's this?
She picked up a rock and dropped it.
See? That looked perfectly normal.
Yes, it looked that way.
Luna?
You were right about the gravity in a way. I was one of the people who knew this wasn't Earth. Well, I suppose I'm not people, if we're being honest, but
Excuse me? What?
please just listen. Alice, you were infected with Radical 6. Then we gave you the Accelavir, which cured you. The Radical 6 isn't completely gone, though. Some of its symptoms stick around for a while.
What symptoms?
Well, Radical 6 can slow down your brain's processing speed by the root of 1/6. It can take a while for your brain to get back up to speed. Every one of us has been infected. In other words, all of our brains have been processing information at a much lower speed. If you evaluated the root of 1/6, you'll get a number close to 0.408. That means our brains are running at something slightly less than half speed. As you said before, the moon's gravity is about 1/6 that of Earth's.
Okay, I get it. Okay, I see what you did there. Okay.
The time that it takes for an object to fall is inversely proportional to the square root of the gravitational acceleration. Since the gravity is lower on the moon, that means the time increases. I guess that's a little technical. Let me give you an example. Say you drop an apple from a height of 4.9 meters. It will take approximately 1 second to hit the ground. On the moon, however, that time would be 1 second times root 6, which would be approximately 2.45 seconds. I used 4.9 meters because it matches up with the acceleration of gravity nicely, but it could be anything. The gravity constant is, well, a constant. You could drop something from 10 centimeters or 10 meters and it would be the same. Does that make sense? So now we've established that on the moon, things fall root 6 times slower than they do on Earth. That being the case, what would happen if someone's brain slowed down by root 1/6? To them, 2.45 seconds would feel like 1 second. 4.9 seconds would feel like 2. But it's not hypothetical. That's what's been happening to every one of us. Wait, you're saying that's the reason we didn't notice the weaker gravity? Are you sure you didn't notice anything? Think back. Huh? You and Sigmund Phi said something about it in the lounge. About how you felt weird.
It's kind of like my body isn't really mine. I'm sort of floating. Like that.
It seemed insane, but what Luna said made sense. In fact, it explained Phi's apparently superhuman strength quite well. Whee. But then couldn't we all just jump really high?
Wait. This is crazy. That can't possibly be Earth out there. Look at it. I've seen photos of Earth and it's blue and green and beautiful. That thing is just red.
Before we get into that, I should probably tell you something. This isn't New Year's Eve in 2028.
Yeah.
Today is January 27th.
In 29?
No.
Don't tell me. 30?
Still no.
And just what year is this?
It's 74.
I knew it.
2074.
I knew it. I figured you out, game. No. That's insane. That would mean we were abducted more than 45 years ago.
I don't blame you if you don't believe me, but it's the truth.
How can you be sure?
It's not that hard. Quark and I left Earth on January 23rd, 2074. Solar eclipses are easy to predict. We've known that there'd be one on the 27th for a long time. That's just science. Nobody can change that.
But why is the Earth red?
That's a long story. About 40 1,000 times as powerful as the atom bomb they dropped on Hiroshima.
What? Why?
I suppose it started a few months before that. The government had a test site for a future Mars mission out in the middle of Nevada. On December 31st, 2028, there was an accident. Well, accident doesn't quite convey the right sense of the thing. The point is, Radical 6 claimed its first victims there, then escaped. Didn't take long for it to spread to the rest of the world. Like Luna explained, the virus slows your brain down, but eventually, it also makes you kill yourself. Pretty soon, the bodies started to pile up. Some people would take a dive off a building or shoot themselves in the head. You know, the classics. But for some, it was poison, or fire, or asphyxiation, or the noose. Plenty of people jumped in front of trains or cars. One pilot on a passenger airline drove his plane into the ground. Most forms of transportation ground to a halt pretty fast. That meant food couldn't get distributed, and thousands of people who weren't even infected died from starvation. Everywhere you went, there were just piles of corpses, covered in flies and rats and crows. I don't know what hell's like, but I imagine it's a lot like that. After a while, people who managed to avoid getting infected started trying to get in touch with one another. They got a hold of some radios and organized a couple meetings. There was only one thing to discuss, of course. How could they get rid of Radical 6? The answer, they decided, was purification. They figured they could just roast the surface of the Earth and that'd kill the virus off for good. On April 13th of 2029, they put their plan into effect. That plan was to detonate all 18 annihilation reactors. Now the truth is, that's mostly just rumor. Nobody really knows what happened, but I've got my own theories. I think that the bombers had already been infected, and when they died, they took billions with them. The ultimate if I die, you're coming with me gesture, I suppose. I'd bet you money they'd all lost it long before they got to the reactors. Killing most of the world, no matter how bad things had gotten, was not a sane plan, even if it wasn't directly responsible. Radical 6 killed most of the people on Earth. Anyway, why it happened isn't that important. Point is, it happened. You ever heard of nuclear winter? Well, that's basically what we got. The explosion threw a ton of crap up into the stratosphere, where it joined up with smoke and ash from all the fires. It blotted out the sun for 7 years. Plants withered and animals died by the millions. The few humans who were left banded together to survive. They were rough times. Eventually, they were over, though. The sky cleared and the sun came back. Plants started blooming again, and the animals that hadn't died out completely began to reappear. Things weren't quite back to normal, though. It's been 45 years now, but there's still quite a bit of dust and ash in the air. That's what you're seeing. You know why a sun sets red? Well, this is the same thing. Blue and green light have short wavelengths, and they scatter when they run into debris in the air. Red light, on the other hand, has a longer wavelength, which means it'll get a lot farther when the air's dirty. So there you are. The Earth looks red because that's the only color of light that can make it through the atmosphere.
I was speechless. What could I possibly say? There was no reason for Temyoji to lie to us. So we were standing on the moon, looking at the Earth. It was 2074. But why? Why were we there? Why were we then? I was so lost in thought I barely noticed Fire's approach.
Hey, Sigma. I think I figured something out.
A window popped up on the inside of my helmet with Whisper in the corner. She seemed to be using a circuit only we could hear. Yeah? What is it?
I figured out why there's an extra E.
An extra E? Oh, you mean the graffiti?
Yeah, the one on floor B. I think it's an anagram. Just like on floor A.
What's Anna say this time?
God damn it, Sigma! Knock it off!
Da-da-da-da-da.
Memento mori if the ninth lion ate the sun. If you rearrange the letters, you get... The man on the moon rules the infinite time. See?
Whoa.
You need 6 E's to get that. So they stuck an extra one in ninth.
The man on the moon rules the infinite time.
I think it's a message for us from Zero Senior and Akane. Remember what she was telling us?
We created the AB project for one purpose: to transport the consciousnesses of 2 people into the past. Those 2 people are you, Sigma, and you, Vi.
So, what are you getting at?
My God, you're slow.
It's the Radical 6, sorry.
You don't get it? They're saying we rule the infinite time. Infinite time. They weren't just talking about having us jump a couple hours. I think they're planning to send us back. Way back.
To, stop everything from happening? Wait a minute. Are you saying you think they're going to send us back 45 years?
Yeah. I'd bet on it.
So the ultimate purpose of the AB project is to send us back in time to that catastrophe that Myoji was talking about.
I think so.
That doesn't make sense, though. I mean, we came from that same time period. Before it, actually. So why bring us here and then send us back?
Well, Akane should be able to tell us the rest. Let's go pay her a visit.
Do you know where she is?
I've got an idea.
Question
Come
mark?
on, think. Remember what she said when she gave you the key?
Tu fui ego eris.
Exactly. The grave. The one in the garden.
Well, come on, what are you waiting for? Let's go.
Now, I don't know. Now I want to know, do you know that we're 45 years in the future? Because, like, he was all... I mean, yes, he tried to sabotage this whole thing, but he was on the moon. Did he know that? I mean, he had to have known, but... Yeah. Returned and ran back into the pressure exchange chamber. The others following close behind. Okay, 2 questions. 1, how did you get into the suit with your other suit underneath it? And second, if you're not in there with your other suit underneath it, how did nobody notice that you look like sick?
What are you doing? Did you forget something?
We're going to go have a talk with somebody.
Who?
You really need me to spell it out? The person behind all this.
You mean Akane?
What?
I'll take that as a yes. Let me accompany you then.
Wait, why do you know about Akane?
I'll tell you when we get there. Now, if you please.
Because you're kind of her son. Kind of, sort of.
I'm coming with you. You folks just said the magic word.
I'm going to then. So am I.
Hey, is this Akane you're talking about?
Yeah, you know her real well.
Wait, you're serious? What the hell is going on?
Oh, shut up! Just shut up, come if you want to. We don't need to do a roll call. Once we get there, Akane can explain everything. I mean, the only one who had to talk was Luna. Like, why are we rude to Luna? With that, we head back through the airlock. Also imagine, like, all the other endings where the people escaped, and then they escape, and then they're just on the moon. All on their own. That's so bad. So all other endings suck, actually.
Ah, clever. The number 9 door on floor A is shut forever once the game ends. Assuming Zero Jr. was telling the truth, of course. But the door on floor B...
Yeah. Thought we might be able to take the lift to it. And it looks like I was right.
Any idea where Akane might be?
Yeah. The grave.
You mean the grave in the garden?
Yeah. Don't worry. I don't think she's buried there or anything. Chances are she's alive. Just in the grave. Anyway, let's move. To the garden. Running to the garden. The garden.
Is Akane really under here?
I think so.
What should we do? Are we gonna dig her out?
No, I don't think we'll have to do anything like that. You see the keyhole on the grave? If I just insert this here, I pulled the key off my ankle and fitted it into the hole. I twisted it to the right until I heard something unlock. With a quiet grinding, the grave began to shift. Whoa. Treatment pod.
What is this? It doesn't look like a coffin.
Yeah. It's a treatment pod.
Oh my god. It is, isn't it?
The glass on the cover had frosted over, making it opaque. We couldn't see who or what was in it.
Let's see what's inside.
She grabbed a hold of the lever on the side of the pod.
No good. I think it's locked.
What?
Treatment pod TP00. Stage 1 defrosting complete. Stage 2 will be complete in 10 minutes. Once stage 2 is complete, the lock will automatically disengage.
Right. Cold sleep.
What?
These pods can put people into cold sleep. It uses something called CAS to freeze human bodies without destroying their cells.
So, Ms. Akane's like an ice cube?
I think so.
Then we gotta wait till she melts?
Yeah.
So how about you tell us your story while we wait, Kay? Specifically, why do you know Akane?
I remembered.
What do you remember?
Everything. I was born and raised in this facility. It's called Rhizome 9. A rhizome is an underground plant stem that spreads by sending out roots. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? This facility is a little like a rhizome. Supposedly, that's why they call these installations that. The number comes from the facility's number. There are 54 rhizomes on the moon, and this is the 9th one. Well, I suppose the other ones don't really matter to you, do they? In any event, I grew up here with Akane and Zero Senior. I watched them create the AB project.
The AB project?
Yes. Its purpose is to send Phi and Sigma, or their consciousnesses at least, to the past.
Like 45 years, right?
Yes.
So, you want us to change history, huh? Go back and keep Radical 6 from getting out, and stop the reactors from exploding. That's our mission?
Well, not exactly.
What do you mean?
It's true that the ultimate goal of the project is to keep Radical 6 from spreading to the general population. But even if you do make it back, you won't be able to do much. By now, it's already too late.
Too late?
What do you mean?
Let me begin at the beginning. You might be thinking that Zero Senior and Akane were the ones who created all this, but that's not entirely correct. They only followed the histories they'd already seen. It was the only choice they had. Nothing less than the future of mankind is at stake. We need the two of you to jump through timelines while maintaining your memories. That is why you had to play the AB game, and why the chromatic doors were necessary. By forcing multiple options, you could make numerous jumps. We speculated that jumping more would strengthen your memories. The puzzles were also there for a purpose. Some theories hold that a moment of insight when you solve a puzzle strengthens your connection to the fourth dimension.
I guess my connection was never strengthened ever.
That was the reason for the puzzles. Your infection with Radical 6 was also a vital part of our plan. By slowing down your brain's processing speed, we can store your potential. With that energy stored up, we just had to provide a life or death situation to launch your consciousness into the fourth dimension. Like a bullet from a slingshot.
Wait, hold on just a minute here. You keep talking about Sigma and Phi, but what about the rest of us? Why did you bring us here?
That's simple. In earlier histories, you were all here in Rhizome 9. We needed you here to accurately replicate those histories. Although I suppose that's probably not a good enough explanation for you. In a sense, though, it is the truth. Our primary goal was to replicate history. The rest is... Yes. I suppose I should explain.
Please.
Very well. I will try and do so in a way you can understand. First, Alice and Clover. They were abducted 45 years and 1 month ago, on December 22nd, 2028. The location is Earth, of course. More specifically, Los Angeles, California. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
After being kidnapped, your bodies were sent to a facility under Akane's direction. You were placed in treatment pods and immediately put into cold sleep. 4 months later, you arrived at this facility. The date you finally arrived was April 14th, 2029. Your trip from Earth to this facility was aboard a spaceship powered by an annihilation engine. Following your arrival, your pods were placed in long-term storage. Does that make sense?
Are you telling me we were sleeping in those pods here for 45 years?
Yes, in preparation for this day.
But why? What do you need us for?
You are an Esper, aren't you, Clover? I mean that you are able to access the fourth dimension. Am I wrong?
Did Akane tell you?
In a manner of speaking. As I've already explained, the purpose of this project is to send Sigma and Phi's consciousnesses to the past. Espers are able to sort of resonate with one another, which can amplify their power. You understand? This is why we brought you here, Clover.
What about me?
We needed your help, Alice, to deactivate Dio's bombs.
Huh? But I didn't do anything.
But you did. In another history, you were able to perform prime decomposition on the 25-digit integer that Dio left behind. Only you could do that sort of thing. Because of your feat of mathematics, we were about to determine that Dio had planted the bombs. Then we were able to question him and get the password for the number 31. Finally, we used that information to stop the bomb in this timeline. Without your help, Alice, we would have been reduced to nothing more than so much space dust. This history exists because of your presence. Now, let me explain why we needed Tenmyoji and Quark. Tenmyoji is simple. We needed you for the same reason we needed Clover. You are able to access the fourth dimension. Almost half a century ago, you used that ability to save a young girl, didn't you?
Thanks for calling me old.
Yeah, I did.
We needed you to resonate with Sigma and Phi, so we brought you here. All it took was a messenger.
Do you want to see Akane? If you do, come with me. I was a fool and fell for it.
And you brought Quark with you. In fact, you insisted that he come.
Yeah, I know. I guess you were worried about leaving me alone, huh? He kept saying he couldn't run off to the moon and leave me behind.
I'm sorry, Quark. If I hadn't been so stupid and selfish, none of this would have happened to you. I never thought this would happen. Can you ever forgive me?
Oh, don't worry about it. I mean, I agreed to come with you. I thought the moon would be way more interesting than boring old Earth. What kid would turn that down?
We didn't see the messenger after we got on the ship. It was on autopilot. As soon as we got in, we headed straight for the moon. During the trip, Zero told me to keep quiet once we got there. I don't remember anything after we landed.
Then there was a bunch of that white smoke, and we passed out, and when I woke up, I was in the AB room.
Now, Dio. His real name is Left, and he's the leader of a terrorist organization called the Myrmidons. He was ordered to come here. The Myrmidons are under the control of an organization called Free the Soul, which is in turn controlled by a man known as Brother. It was Brother who orchestrated the release of Radical 6 into the general population 45 years ago. Do you remember what Phi mentioned earlier? The ultimate purpose of the AB project is to change history and keep Radical 6 from being released. If we succeed, that would be bad for Brother and his organization. Our success would prevent them from creating the ideal world they're working toward. That is why Brother sent Left, his trusted lieutenant, to this facility. They needed to stop the AB project. So, Dio was given 2 tasks. The first was to eliminate Akane, the architect of the AB project. The second was to join the AB game and win it. If Dio won the game, the AB project would not be completed, at least not in that timeline. In other words, in that world, the project would have been stopped. If things didn't go as planned, Dio was given a contingency plan. If you cannot murder Akane and win the game, destroy Rhizome 9.
Oh, so that's why there were bombs in only one timeline.
Hence, the bombs.
Can I ask you something?
Perhaps.
How did Brother know about the AB project?
He was also an Esper. We can set Brother aside for now, though. May I proceed?
No one objected. We were all curious.
Excellent. That explains everyone, save 2, Luna and myself. Sigma and Phi already know the truth about Luna. I don't believe I should reveal any more, however. I think it would be more appropriate if you could ask Luna yourselves at a later time. Would that be all right with you, Luna?
Yes, that's okay.
As for me, as I said before, I was born and raised here. The rest of you were brought to this facility, but I've never left. That makes me someone close to Zero Senior and Akane.
Hey, I've been wondering, who is Zero Senior?
You've already met him, Sigma, in another timeline.
Yeah. Well, I saw a hologram. I still don't know who he is.
Stage 2 is complete. TP00 unlocking.
It looks like it's finished. Shall we open the pod?
Yeah, let's do it. All of us gathered around the pod. The glass was still covered with frost, hiding the contents.
Okay, let's get started then. Ready?
Phi laid her hand on the lever and looked around at us. I swallowed. Yeah, anytime.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
It's me again! What? Suddenly my head was full of memories from other timelines. I'd seen something like this before. The warehouse of floor B. In front of the white door. He was lying in front of me. I grabbed his mask and saw my own face. I never figured out who he really was. Why was there a man with my face underneath the case of armor? It didn't make sense. After I'd seen him, I was injected with tubercularine, and that was the end of that. But wait, did the person in the pod was the same person I'd seen on the floor of the warehouse. Who was wearing Kay's armor?
You finally noticed. Didn't I tell you? You won't be alone. I will be at your side, watching over you.
No. Oh my god, you're...
Yes, I am.
Akane Korashiki.
It's you!
When did you switch?
June! I mean, Akane, from... But you're old.
You're so old.
Yes, that's correct. I haven't spoken to you in a very long time, Clover. Or you, Junpei.
Junpei?
Akane. Long time no see.
I could barely hear what they were saying. My mind was still reeling. It felt like all the air had been knocked out of me, and it was like, oh, it was all I could do to not collapse right then and there.
When? How long?
Do you remember when the two of you saved me in the warehouse? Once you saved me, you went back to your future. Well, your minds did, at least. I carried your bodies to the 3rd AB room, and then took Dio's to the 5th. After that, I went into the 1st room and borrowed Kay's armor.
So by the time you and Clover came out, you'd already...
Yes.
Wait, that doesn't make any sense. Dio killed you. And then Luna took your body to the 6th room. You couldn't have been in Kay's armor.
No, it was me. In this timeline, at least. In this one, I wasn't murdered by Dio. You two saved me. It's just like Schrodinger's cat. Your actions in the future decided who would be inside the armor in the past.
What? No, that's nuts.
Alright, what about the other history? The one where you weren't saved. What happens then? Who's wearing the armor?
That's quite simple. The man in front of you.
Him?
That's correct. Whenever I'm not in the armor, he is.
What about the memory loss?
For my part, I confess that I lied. He, on the other hand, was telling the truth. Large doses of soporil can cause memory loss. I gave him a rather large dose.
Rude.
So, who is he?
It's me.
You've never seen him before?
No.
What about the rest of you?
I have no idea who he is.
Nobody knows me.
I've never seen him before.
Me either.
Total stranger.
Hey, come on, what are you guys saying? Right here? Same face?
Huh? Are you all right, Mr. Sigma? Did you hit your head or something?
Huh? What? Didn't make any sense. Why didn't they recognize me?
Sigma, your consciousness can jump through time. You can inhabit your body in the past or in the future.
What does that mean?
Don't you get it?
I'm Zero?
You've jumped to the future. From 45 years ago.
I looked around frantically. A pond. I ran to it and threw myself down onto my knees. Crawling on all fours, I approached the edge. My heart was hammering inside my chest. Cold sweat trickled down my spine. Calm down. Calm down. Calm down, damn it! I struggled to take a deep breath. And slowly, I peered into the pond, looking for my reflection. What? I'm old! No, this can't be real. This face,
It's your face, Dr. Sigma Climb. Although to the you that's behind it now, it's your face 45 years from now. Zero, the mastermind of the AB project,
It was me all along.
is you.
What? No, that's not possible. That's bullshit.
No, it's the truth. Fighting it isn't going to do you any good. Please, Doctor.
I'm not a doctor.
You will be. A pioneer in the field of genetic engineering.
You're lying.
No, I'm not. You created him. Well, I suppose I should say you are going to create him.
Create?
His name is Kyle Climb,
Why did I name him Kyle?
your clone. That is why he looks just like a younger version of yourself. 23 years ago, in the biolab here in Rhizome 9, you created Kyle. Well, I suppose for you, that's still in the future. When I said I was born and raised here, I was still pretending to be him. The gravity here is only 1/6 of Earth's. If nothing was done, the reduced gravity would cause his bones to be weaker than normal human ones. But you prepared for that. You gave him that armor. Ever since he was born, he's lived inside of it. It kept his muscles and bones strong. He wasn't forced into it for the nonary game. He's been wearing it every day, all his life.
Poor Kyle. But why would future me create a clone?
He was to be your spare. If something happened to you before the project began, he would take your place. I mentioned before that the AB projects A and B stood for after and before. That isn't all they mean, though. The A also means anima, and the B means body. Anima is another word for the soul or the consciousness. Body is, well, exactly what it says on the tin. The past consciousness will go into the future body, and the future consciousness will go into the past body. They switch.
Oh, so Zero is basically out there saving the world right now, as we speak. In my past body, then.
That was the chief goal of the project.
Wait, so the future person goes into the past person?
Sigma, do you remember the note you found in the garden?
You mean this, right?
Yes. Ah, of course, it was you who investigated the garden in this timeline.
Yeah.
Sigma, take a good look at this. It's an illustration of the time jumps your consciousness is making. A is where everything began. December 25th, 2028. You inhaled the white smoke in your car and lost consciousness. From there, you jumped to B. January 25th, 2074. You woke up in one of the AB rooms in Rhizome 9. You are in your own body, but it is 67 years old. Your consciousness has jumped 45 years into the future. I believe that may explain why you didn't notice the reduced lunar gravity. The body you woke up in was much older. Normally, you would have noticed that your muscles were much weaker. In this case, however, the lower gravity balanced that out.
Okay, that's clever.
Moving on, if you continue along this line, what happens next? You reach C, which is January 27th, 2074. That is today.
Whoa. Wait, what do you mean? Are you saying it's been 2 days since we woke up?
36 hours to be exact. Have you already forgotten? You were all infected with Radical 6. The virus slowed your brain down. So yes, 36 hours of real time have passed. But to you, it only seemed like 14 hours and 40 minutes.
Still quite a long time, man. I could not sleep or eat.
Now comes the important part. After this, your consciousness will return to the past. It will re-emerge at point D. April 13th, 2029. You will return to your younger body.
But that's the same day as the reactor explosions.
Yes. That is why I said it will be too late. You will return to the past, but the events you would want to prevent will have already happened. The story does not end there, however. The line continues. After reaching point D, you will eventually return to B. But this time, you won't be jumping through time, or at least not at a rate faster than normal. Your consciousness will spend 45 years inhabiting the same body until you reach point B. Do you remember when B is, Sigma?
January 25th, 2074. According to what you just told us, it's 36 hours ago.
Correct. That was when the consciousness of the 22-year-old Sigma jumped into the body of 67-year-old Sigma. So where did the older version of you go when you took his body?
Point A. December 25th, 2028. The day all of this started.
Yes. His consciousness will go back in time 45 years. For a period of time, he will inhabit your younger body. While your younger consciousness is elsewhere, he will be you in the past.
But once that body reaches point D, my 22-year-old consciousness will come back from point C.
That's correct. When that happens, the older version of you will be ejected from your younger body and return to your body at C.
So it's rotating?
Rotating. I suppose you could put it that way. But look at this illustration closely. What if you take all these lines and untangle them? You get one single line. It may look complicated, but in truth, it's a single straight path, with one exception.
This line here at point E, right?
Exactly. Point E is December 31st, 2028, the day of the total eclipse.
The day Radical 6 got out of the test facility.
Yes. By now, you've likely figured it out on your own. The purpose of the AB project was to get the consciousness of the 67-year-old Sigma from point B to point A. If we can do that, we can change what happened 45 years ago.
So the old version of me will keep Radical 6 from getting out by jumping into my 22-year-old body on New Year's Eve 2028?
Yes. That is why this line could not be interrupted. In order for the 67-year-old version of you to reach point B, we first have to go through point D. In order to get to point D, we must jump from point C. And for point C to happen, we had to recreate everything that happened in this facility. That is why we have faithfully retraced history up to this point, so that we might save humankind from destruction and undo the horrors of the last 45 years.
Tell me one more thing.
What is that?
You said that point C is January 27th, 2074, which is today. There's going to be a jump, and I'll jump to April 13th, 2029.
Yes, that's right.
But look, I'm still old. When is this jump supposed to happen?
Very soon.
Soon?
Yes.
And what's going to trigger it?
We need potential energy stored to send your consciousness into the fourth dimension. Fortunately, we now have plenty of that, thanks, ironically, to Radical 6. All that remains is to launch your consciousness, like a bullet from a slingshot.
And how do you propose to do that?
Didn't I tell you? A crisis. A moment balanced between life and death. That can jumpstart your brain.
What do you mean?
You haven't figured it out?
Huh?
I mean this.
Pulls out a gun. Oh. Or a knife. Dio's knife? No sooner were the words out of my mouth. Fi! I screamed and leapt towards them. Akane was already in motion, the knife diving towards Fi's chest. I was almost there. When I regained consciousness, I was on the floor. There was a dull pain in my chest. I felt for a cut, but something was in the way. It took me a moment to realize that it was Akane's body laying on top of me. I twisted my neck to look around. Nearby was an old tombstone. On it was written a few words in Latin. Tu fui ego eris. What you are, I was. What I am, you will be. Whoa. So that's it. That's the end of the game. We did it. We know everything now. That was that was a good game. 67 years old. I like how they just glossed over the fact that Tenmyoji was Junpei. I mean, I know Acheron had that theory a while ago, but I mean, I never contradicted it or never wrote it off, I think. I only wrote off that Kei was Junpei. That was the first theory, I think. And I wrote that one off, I think. But yeah. I mean, the Tenmyoji one obviously made a lot of sense considering the picture and stuff, but yeah, they kind of gloss over that. It's like, oh yeah, he's Junpei. I mean, to be fair, it's kind of odd. They try not to reference the first game too much, but still have that there. And okay, so we never found out who Brother is, I guess. I'm just... Is that really all? What I want to know is... I need to... I don't know, man. So... I mean... I guess that makes sense. So... The old Sigma just woke up in his older body then. Was like, oh yeah. There's a Connie. But did he do it? That's me. I have to say, it was quite... it was quite smart of them to like... I mean, you never see Sigma's face, right? Except for the first cutscene. And since his hands are like... you know, synthetic, they can show them because they look young. I like how nobody questioned that. Okay, I don't like how nobody questioned the fact that his hands look young, but his face looks old. But yeah, new destination has been added to the flowchart. Time after time. Okay, so this isn't the end. I'm really hoping this is like a short epilogue thingy, and we're gonna do that right now. I hope. I don't want this part to be too long. But I also don't want the next part to be like 20 minutes long. I mean, 20 minutes would be fine. I don't want the next part to be 10 minutes long.
Today is April 13th, 2029. And this is the evening news.
Is this a Friday perchance?
Unfortunately, I'm sorry. I don't have any news to read. All of our station's reporters have passed after contracting Radical 6. So have my... Excuse me. I've managed to keep us on the air until now. But I'm out of tricks. It's time for me to sign off. This concludes our broadcast day. I pray that someday our world can be cleansed of this horrible plague. Goodbye.
Yikes, man. For a moment, I just stared at the TV. The roar of the static seemed to fill the entire room, until with a click, it disappeared too. Had the power gone out? I heard footsteps behind me and turned around. Oh, you. Oh. Akane?
It looks like the first step was successful.
What the fuck? You killed me!
Killed?
I guess technically you're going to kill me 45 years from now, but still.
Hey, no need to be rude about it. I didn't kill you. I hit you with the butt of the knife. You're fine.
I'm okay?
Yes. You and Phi needed to experience a state of crisis. That was the only way.
Me and Phi?
Yes. I only told you about you, but we also needed Phi to jump. Now, you know what happens next, right?
We go to the moon?
Correct. We will be leaving tomorrow, April 14th, 2029. We've nearly finished preparing your shuttle. Only a few last-minute checks and additions. You'll be traveling to Rhizome 9, along with 3 treatment pods.
Alice and Clover, right?
Yes.
What about the third one? Who's in there?
Phi. We put her into cold sleep 2 days ago. She appeared at our headquarters and volunteered to be frozen. That wasn't the Phi who jumped from point C, though. It was Phi before she jumped from point A to point D. In other words, she was following the same path you are. And she still is.
Then that means that after you froze her, the point C version of her jumped back into her body?
Yes. The Point C version of Phi is sleeping in that pod. She'll stay there for the next 45 years, sleeping in ice.
Then, when she gets to point B, her consciousness will jump to point A, right?
Correct.
Huh. So that's why she didn't look old. Da-da-da-da. So why don't you just stick me in one of those pods?
We can't do that.
Why not?
You haven't figured it out? You have to spend the next 45 years working on the AB project. After arriving at Rhizome 9, you must master genetic engineering and artificial intelligence programming, among other disciplines. Otherwise, you will be unable to create Kyle, Luna, and Lagomorph. And, of course, you will need to develop the chromatic doors and the bracelets. You will also be the person who summons Tenmyoji and Quark. Once you've completed all the preparations, then the project can actually begin. January 25th, 2074. You will defrost Phi and carry her to the third AB room. Once you've done that, the 22-year-old version of you from point A will force you out. And you'll just go back 45 years to your own body on December 25th, 2028.
And then I change history? Do you really think I can keep the virus from getting out?
You have to. If you don't, billions of people will die. Only you and Phi can save them.
What about you? Aren't you an Esper too?
I can't do anything on my own. If this is going to work, I'll need your help.
So, what do I need to do?
What do you mean?
Like, what specific actions do I need to take? When Phi and I jump to point A, what are we going to do then?
You'll both enter the Mars mission test site.
And after that?
I don't know.
What?
I'm sorry. I really don't know anything about what happens in there. We don't know how the Radical Six escaped. We don't even know why it was there in the first place.
Oh crap. Then we're screwed.
That's why we need your help. You have the ability to jump through time and across parallel worlds. We need you to figure out what happened in that test facility. Things will be difficult, and I'm sure you will find yourself in a great deal of danger. But I believe the two of you can overcome any obstacle.
Wait, how do you know it's so dangerous?
The 67-year-old version of you told me what happened. He wasn't able to stop the virus. So I suppose you could say you told me after you failed.
What did I say?
That the test facility is full of traps. There was one point, a woman's life was in danger. You risked yourself for her sake, and lost your arms and your right eye.
My arms and my right eye? What the hell? Suddenly a low rumble shook the building. What was that?
Go have a look.
I moved slowly to the window and peered outside. On the horizon, I could see a massive mushroom cloud climbing slowly towards the sky. Would we really be able to change the course of history? No, that was the wrong way to look at it. It couldn't be a question. I had to change history. We could save the world. I'm going to change history. I stared at the darkening skies above us and steeled myself. I would succeed. End. Or beginning? Fire and I saw the end. Or maybe the beginning? So that's the true... Whoops. That's the okay. That and now we are at the beginning, and now we are just looking at our flowchart again. Wow. Wait. Why is that still a question mark? Another time. Infirmary. But the thing... oh, is that the Arcana end? End or beginning headquarters? But what about this?
Where?
Oh.
I see you've finally woken up, Kyle.
Kyle?
Ah, yes. Of course. You've only just woken up in this timeline. It's only natural for some of your memories to be missing.
I lurched upright, jumped off the bed, and ran around to the other side of the partition. The mirror over the sink was covered with a film of dirt. I wiped it off with my sleeve, and my reflection stared back at me. There was no mistake. The reflection belonged to...
Kyle Climb. So, I'm Dr. Climb? Zero Senior's clone?
What? How do you know that? Shouldn't you still be suffering from amnesia?
An excellent question, one I didn't quite know the answer to myself. I knew who Kyle Klim was. In another history, he had been called K and had worn a suit of armor. He hadn't just worn the armor in that history, though. Apparently he had worn it all his life. Kyle had been born and raised in this lunar installation, which seems to be called Rhizome 9. Rather late in his life, Akane had appeared as a mother figure, and he had consequently grown very attached to her. I knew everything about him, but even though I knew it, I didn't feel it. Was I really Kyle Klim? Every time I looked in the mirror, I saw his face. A spitting image of Sigma Klim in his younger days. I looked down. There was Dio, still handcuffed. I turned back around to Luna.
What day is today?
January 27th, 2074.
And today is the last day of the AB project. Akane has explained everything in the garden. And she drew a knife and attacked Phi. How long have I been asleep?
About 5 hours in real time. For them, it would have seemed like a little more than 2 hours.
So they still haven't been treated for their Radical 6?
No, they've all been given the antiviral. It just takes a while to have an effect.
I see. So the consciousness of the younger Sigma has gone back into the past. It should have happened right after Akane attacked Phi, right?
Yes.
Why am I here?
The doctor carried you back here. You were in the pod in the garden.
So the person you call the doctor is Sigma Klein, as inhabited by his age-appropriate consciousness.
Yes, but how do you know that?
Dio seems to have remained unconscious.
Yes. I've been administering Soparil whenever he gets restless.
What about the others?
They've all gone off to different areas. Tenmyoji and Quark, for instance.
Oh, right! Mr. Klein!
So the sleepyhead's finally up, huh?
What are you two doing here?
You don't know where we are?
This is the upper floor of the pressure exchange chamber. The real one.
Mm-hmm.
We were just about to get dressed and head out.
You plan to return then? To Earth, I mean.
Yeah.
Sigma told us where we could find the shuttle that brought us here. Well, guess he's not really the Sigma I knew anymore. He's Dr. Klein now, or Zero Senior, depending on how you look at it.
You know what sucks? Quark actually wasn't evil. I don't know why I kept suspecting him, but he wasn't actually evil. He was just a kid. Figures.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Well, I'm just curious why you would choose to return to a devastated planet when you could stay here.
How's staying here gonna help? You aren't gonna say something idiotic about how we should wait here until Sigma changes the past, are you? You can't wait for something that's already happened. Grammar doesn't work that way. Hell, nature doesn't work that way. You following me? We've already lived through history. Sigma failed to keep the virus from getting out. About 45 years ago, Radical 6 created a pandemic, and the antimatter reactors blew up. That all happened. Whatever Sigma does in the past, history's not going to change. In fact, it's because of what he did or didn't do in the past that we've got this past and present. Let me give you an example. Imagine a group of 100 motorcycles driving down an endless freeway. Eventually, they hit a junction. The road splits in two. One freeway continues off northwest, and the other stretches out to the northeast. So one guy, we'll call him S, pipes up. "Let's go northwest," he says. So they take the northwestern road. But about a mile past the intersection, something horrible happens. A semi driving the other way veers into their lane and plows through the bikers. 90 of them die. The surviving 10 are wounded, but survive. They don't stop, though. They keep riding down that highway, and eventually they'd gone 10,000 miles. Then suddenly, something happens that they couldn't have predicted. S, who had survived, suddenly has his consciousness thrown back in time. He ends up back in his own body just before they reach the junction. He remembers everything. So what does S do? What anybody would do. Let's go northeast. That means all 100 of the bikers survive to reach their destination, happy and healthy. And they all live happily ever after. That's what you're thinking, right? It's a great outcome for the 100 bikers that went northeast. But what about the 10 that went northwest and survived the accident?
Huh? Wouldn't it be 9 people? I mean, S's mind went back in time, right?
Right. Okay, 9 people then. What happens to the reality they were living? Does it just disappear when S changes the past? It's not as if it was only bad things that happened during that 10,000-mile trip. Maybe one of them fell in love with a woman working at a gas station they stopped at and had a child. Maybe one of them picked up a homeless kid who joined them on their adventure. That 10,000-mile journey would be full of stories, friendships, farewells, romances. The loss of those 90 lives is horrible and unfortunate. But what would rewriting their history mean? The 9 who survived lived full lives. How can it be right to just erase all that? The survivors overcame their own misery and loss and made the best they could of the hand they'd been dealt. Isn't that worth something? Isn't that the best thing that humans can aspire to? Is there really any point to a world where everything is happy? Are people who struggle for a better life just idiots? Being human is about fighting, even when it seems hopeless, and finding happiness, even in a world that hates it. Are you saying that's worthless? If you're saying rewriting the past will erase all these other timelines, then whatever God wrote those rules can Look, I'm just not going to accept that, all right? You get it?
If Sigma changes the past, then you and Quark will never meet.
Is he right?
No, it's not going to happen. We're here right now. This is reality. Even if Sigma does change the past, we're not just going to disappear or something.
Oh, then that means we get to stay together? Good.
Thanks, kid.
I understand how you feel. Why you want to return to Earth is clear. You have lives there, I imagine. There are likely people waiting for you.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Have you already said goodbye to the others?
Bye, Luna, Alice, and Clover all saw us off. We told them we'd see them again someday, and then came here.
They were the only people you want to say goodbye to?
Well, no point saying anything to Dio.
Besides, he's asleep. You were asleep too.
Sorry, but we didn't really know much about you.
You have a point. Akane was in the armor in this timeline, after all. What about Sigma?
Well, he's not really Mr. Sigma anymore.
Of course. He is Dr. Klein now that his consciousness has returned.
Yeah, but more importantly, he's the guy who brought us all here. Not a lot of warm feelings there, you know?
And Akane?
Never mind her. She's just like him. Not the Akane I knew. She must have seen some pretty awful things over the years. Hell, she might not even be human anymore. But the Akane Kurashiki I know isn't here. She's not anywhere.
Well,
in the end, Clover and I were just pawns. Pawns to be used and then gotten rid of. Still, it's not like we're completely resentful. We had to be here to help change the past. That part's easy to understand. But
Kinda sucks, though. I mean, Sigma and Phi have it easy. They get to go back to December 25th in 2028. They'll stop the Radical Six and save the world, and then they'll have a nice, normal future to look forward to. In other words, they get to go back to Point E and just enjoy history like it was supposed to happen.
But we don't. We're stuck with Point C as our starting point.
You told us about Tenmyoji's story, right? The one with the motorcycles? It would be like if Alice and I were kidnapped right before the intersection. Then whoever grabbed us takes us to wherever the bikers are going, 10,000 miles to the northwest.
Don't get us wrong. We know why we had to be here. Without us, S's consciousness wouldn't have been able to go back to right before the intersection.
If that couldn't happen, then the fate of those 90 dead bikers would be sealed. But
it's still not the best situation for those of us left in the Northwest. We're stuck in the reality.
So, my PC crashed again. I don't know if it was this line or the next one where we ended up. I mean, I did look at the thing, but I already forgot. Anyway, so 2 things. One, like I said, my PC crashed. And when I was recording this originally, it was very late. And it was kind of, I mean, it was already too late to go to bed, but like, it was kind of a good, like, I was prepared to go through with this, even no matter how late was gonna get. But when my PC crashed, I was like, what if I go to bed right now? And so, like, I think an entire week passed. Yeah, that was on Monday. So, yeah. Also, my file corrupted, but luckily I could save it, recover it. I did have quite the scare, though, that I had to re-record everything again. Especially with the finale. You don't want to do that. But, yeah. So, I did have a lot more time to sleep on this ending and let it ruminate in my head. Also, like, edited another few parts in between, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. The ending where Tenmyoji doesn't have enough points, but Quark does, and he just carries him through the door. Well, it is sweet of him, and I get his thinking. He doesn't want Quark to be in the facility where a murderer is. Is it a better idea to let Quark be alone on Mars? Not Mars, the moon? Is that better? I mean, yes, of course, he knows technically where, like that there are other rhizomes or whatever, and that he could probably get back to Earth somehow, but I don't know, man. Would you trust a kid to get back to your home planet on his own? I don't know, man. That ending was kind of weird, but I get his thought process, I guess. But yeah. I don't know, that's just jumped out to me because I was just editing that part.
It would be like if Alice and I were kidnapped right before the intersection. Then whoever grabbed us takes us to wherever the bikers are going, 10,000 miles to the northwest.
Don't get us wrong. We know why we had to be here.
Oh no, wait, I God damn it. I set in way too early.
Without us, S's consciousness wouldn't have been able to go back to right before the intersection.
The game crashed right in the middle of the next line.
If that couldn't happen,
never mind.
Then the fate of those 90 dead bikers would be sealed.
The line after that.
But
no, the line after that.
It's still not the best situation for those of us left in the Northwest. We're stuck in the reality where the 90 bikers died.
This is the line where my game crashed. Okay. I swear I was looking at it, but only at the end part I was like, yeah, this should be enough. I don't know how I'm gonna edit this. This part is gonna be way too long anyway, but I mean, it's the finale. That's just how it is, right?
Are we just supposed to go live on Earth? It's a wasteland now. And what about our friends and families? We left a whole world behind 45 years ago.
They are probably dead.
Even if it is for the greater good?
It just doesn't seem fair, does it?
Oh man, that means Snake is really old now. If he survived. I mean, he survived, right? Like, that would be really weird. I mean, I guess he was her older brother, right? But I mean, now he's her really older brother.
Yeah, it's a little bit much.
So we went and talked to the old lady.
She told us that there is one way.
One way we could get back to the past.
Oh?
Let's say you do go back to the past. Wouldn't that cause your minds to get thrown back here? That seemed to be how Sigma and Phi's jumps worked, at least.
Yes, you're right.
But this is different.
Different? How so?
Actual time travel?
From what she said, it sounds like there's a way we can send our bodies back in time too.
It's ridiculous. It would create a paradox. How could you have two Clovers and two Alices at the same time?
But that wouldn't happen.
Akane says there's a way around that.
Just kill the original Clover and Alice.
How on earth does she plan to do that?
Schrodinger's
cat.
Kitty.
Oh, hey, Kyle.
We leave it at that? What? Hello? An explanation, please? That didn't explain anything? What?
Figured you'd come here eventually.
Where's Dr. Klein? Luna said you were with him.
He said he was tired, so he's off resting right now. There's a bedroom at the end of the hallway. He's in there if you're curious. Oh, right. He told me to turn on this hologram projector thing when you showed up. Want me to start it?
Sure.
Glad to see you.
Hi, it's me.
There isn't anything in particular that I have to tell you. However, I imagine there are a great number of things weighing on your mind. I'd love to answer all your questions, but unfortunately, my circumstances make that an impossibility. I hope you can forgive me. Everything I know, Phi should also know. I have instructed her to answer any questions anyone might have. Anyone other than Kyle, that is.
Rude.
What does he mean, other than Kyle?
Who knows? Is there anything you want to ask?
Right, well, I guess I may as well cut to the chase. Just who are you, Phi?
I'm not Superman, that's for sure.
Damn.
And I'm not Batman or Spider-Man or Aquaman or a merman or a wolfman.
What if you were a wolf woman, though?
I'm not a Brahmin or Kamen or Ramen. I'm not a Cayman either, so you really don't need to worry about anything.
Please don't dodge the question. About 5 hours ago, Akane attacked you with a knife. That triggered something which sent your mind back to the past, correct? Specifically, you were sent to Point D, April 13th, 2029. On that date, your body was already in Akane's custody. Although by then, you were in cold sleep.
Damn. Imagine getting sent back to cold sleep. That's rude.
You wouldn't have regained consciousness, but your mind was now inhabiting that body. That pod was your home for 45 years. You slept there, frozen, until the time was right. Then on January 25th, 2074, you were finally thawed out, even though you didn't wake up. Still unconscious, you were carried to the AB room. That was when your consciousness changed bodies again. A version of you from December 25th, 2028 arrived, pushing you out and sending you back to December 25th, 2028. This is when you finally woke up. In 2028, you found and joined forces with Sigma, whose older mind was inhabiting his younger body. Together, you attempted to infiltrate the Mars mission test facility. Fortunately, your plan failed. The Radical Six did escape on New Year's Eve. That failure determined the path you followed. Instead of going along the line that branches out to the right from Point E, you headed straight to Point D. Point D being April 13th of the following year. That was the day that you made your way to Akane's hideout and asked to be put into one of the treatment pods. Another consciousness enters your body around that time from the future. It is, of course, the version of you that left your body when Akane attacked you in the garden. This caused the two versions of you to swap places, and you moved 45 years into the future, where you woke up on the garden floor. That put you on the line that comes here.
That he can keep up with all that is quite impressive, actually. I'm just nodding along, honestly. And like, before I started recording, I tried to make sense of this again, and it's a bit weird, honestly.
So if we discount the time you spent in cold sleep, for you, only 3.5 months have passed since that happened. That being when you were sent back into the past from the garden. Have I missed anything?
No, everything you talked about you got right.
Well, what do you mean by that?
I'm kind of an unknown variable in this equation. You could think of me as a kind of X factor.
Okay.
It's taken me the last 3.5 months to understand it.
I haven't understood anything in the last 3.5 seconds.
Same.
Could you please explain?
It's kind of like the relationship between classical mechanics and modern physics. Strictly speaking, you can't combine velocities with v1 plus v2. v1 plus v2 divided by 1 plus v1 times v2 over c squared is the actual equation.
Crazy, man.
Of course, the sort of velocities we encounter in day-to-day life don't come close to being c squared, which is the speed of light squared. That means that 1 plus v1 times v2 divided by c squared is usually going to evaluate to something pretty close to 1. Since that would mean dividing by 1, it's usually okay to just skip that step and use v1 plus v2. You see what I'm saying? In most situations it works, even if it isn't technically correct. So you knew enough to get the stuff you were talking about right. As long as you stick to that, you won't run into any problems.
I don't quite understand. In fact, I feel like you're dodging my questions.
So is that what you wanted to ask about?
No. What I really want to know is what happened between Christmas and New Year's Eve in 2028. You and Sigma infiltrated the Mars mission test site, didn't you?
Yes.
What happened there? How did Sigma lose his eye and both his arms? And why was Radical 6 in there in the first place? What could a deadly virus have to do with the simulated mission to space?
Sorry, but I can't tell you that.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because it would change history.
God damn it.
There is a history where the virus didn't escape. That's the line that goes to the right of point E. In that timeline, humanity isn't heading for annihilation, and Earth isn't red. The future is much brighter. But if I tell you what you're asking me right now, then that reality will disappear. You understand?
I don't. Why would all of that disappear if you told me what I want to know?
You're about to go back to the past, right?
The past? Don't be silly. I can't do that.
Then where the hell did you learn all this stuff? I just listened to you tell me a bunch of things you shouldn't have known about. You were sleeping in the pod in the garden. You just woke up. So how can you know all this? You know my past. Sigma's past.
I shall give you your answer.
I'm just crazy like that.
You are not Kyle Climb. Your body is Kyle's, but your consciousness is not. Think about it. Do you really believe you are Kyle?
Wait, so I jumped in, or Sigma jumped into the body of his clone?
Or could you be someone else entirely?
Then where is the real Kyle's consciousness?
He was thrown out when you entered.
Rude.
Right now, in a manner of speaking, he has arrived at December 25th, 2028. His consciousness has gone into a body from that time. I doubt you know how much the doctor loves Kyle. He raised him on his own. Kyle is irreplaceable. Do you really think he would go back to the past and leave Kyle behind here? I know what I told the others that Kyle was Dr. Klime's spare, but that was not his only purpose. Kyle's consciousness is integral to what we are trying to accomplish. This new mission begins on Christmas and ends on New Year's Eve 2028. Its purpose will be to infiltrate the test facility and prevent the spread of the virus. For this to happen, Kyle is absolutely necessary.
And that is why he created him?
Yes.
So now that my consciousness has entered his body, the doctor has achieved his objective. Kyle has gone back to 2028 to participate in his mission.
Correct.
There's one thing that troubles me. Kyle was created before reaching point B from point D. That means his body did not exist on Christmas in 2028. Does that mean he has entered my body? Have we just switched places?
I suppose you could put it that way, yes.
That's ridiculous. What's going to happen to me? You telling me I have to spend the rest of my life here in this box, living in a borrowed body?
No, not at all. You can travel freely through time and space. You are an uncontrolled variable that entered our closed system. As such, the rules of this world do not apply to you.
I have no idea what...
Please don't try to play dumb. I know what you are.
I know what you are.
Surely you must know by now, too. You are about to go into the past and save the world. Phi and Sigma, even with all of his future knowledge, will need your help. Only you can right the horrible wrongs of our past. Only you can save the world.
There's no way I...
Yes, there is. You have to. Don't you want to know the truth? Don't you want to know what happened in between Christmas and New Year's Eve in 2028?
Well, yes, I do, but...
Then you must believe. Reality is shaped by what we believe reality should be. If observation can change the motion of a particle, then how is it odd to think that human thought can shape reality? Your will can change history. The world will be reshaped into the one you imagine.
Okay, but does that mean the old realities don't exist anymore?
Remember what I've told you.
Like, am I killing off alternate timelines, or am I just making a new timeline that's good, but all the other timelines are still fucked? Like,
Only you can change history. Only you can save the world.
alternate end. Certain point of view, and you found it. Wait, I have all trophies? What? Okay, I didn't even go for that. Okay, so apparently... Whoops. Wait, where do we start off? Okay. The alternate timeline. Okay, so I looked this up beforehand because I was like, well, I know everything already. Like, I can't really be spoiled that much anymore. So apparently, this is like, I mean, and the fight ending is the true ending, and this is kind of like, I mean, it's not the prologue. I mean, it's kind of the prologue. You know what I mean? It's this timeline bullshit. Okay, so this is the true ending. Is this? Okay, no. I'm still confused by this little gap, but yeah. This isn't the true ending, but apparently you had to get this ending too. Like, apparently there's two fire endings, and the other one is just this, I guess. It's a bit weird. But yeah, so apparently this thing, you only unlock this if you have played all the escape rooms on hard mode. I don't know. It was a bit weird because it just said you have to play everything on hard mode, but on the other hand, I thought it was another side said it was like you have to get all the escape files, the bonus files. So I don't know what's true or not, but I mean, I did get all the files. I mean, I did play on hard mode to get all the files. So yeah, so that unlocks this ending, and this ending is non-canon because like supposedly the game was supposed to end at this. I mean, at this and the one above, but I don't. It's weird. It's like in Japan, like at the time an earthquake happened, and Uchikoshi didn't want to leave it at like such a bleak note, so he added this. But this is still non-canon, so I don't know. I haven't read up on like who this Kyle is supposed to be. Like my first thought was, wait, is that Junpei? But that doesn't make really sense, does it? So I don't know. I'm yeah. I mean, to be fair, I am not smart or insane enough to keep up with the ending of this game, so that's a bit unfortunate, but yeah. I do want to return. This is gonna start up at the first cutscene again, right? Because the game is annoying like that, and I couldn't crit. I mean, hey, at least we now know what all these things mean. Crazy, right? Okay. Huh. So we go back to the main menu just so we have music. So we go to the options to have music. Because I'm like, I don't even remember. I think I said my thoughts when the credits rolled, but the thing is I haven't looked at that again, and it's gonna be really awkward when I edit the part, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm contradicting myself in the same video, but whatever. This is me after a week of like sitting on it a bit, and I don't know, it's really weird. I'm just confused, okay? I'm just confused by the ending and how little tension there was at the end. Like, I mean, yes, of course, we had to stop the bombs. That was cool. And then we just get a really long info dump, but that's it. I just thought, like, don't get me wrong, I wasn't, like, all into the finale of 999. Like, since I don't like June or Akane, whatever, the whole let's save Akane thing felt kind of flat for me personally. But I think the game really benefited from having an actual villain, like with Ace, like actually trying to kill you. That was actually, I don't know, I felt that was more of a finale for me. Like, that was way cooler. Like, oh man, I mean, I think that wasn't the right timeline, but the timeline where Snake fucking like grabbed him and made him explode. or not explode, like burn with him in the incinerator. That was so rad. I mean, poor Snake, but yeah. That's another thing. I kind of like the characters in the first, like some characters in the first game more. The thing is, I like the characters that I like in the first game, I like more than the characters I like in this game. But I also hate the characters in the first game more than the characters I don't like in this game, right? I don't know if that makes sense, but I don't know, I really like Snake, I really like Seven, I really like Lotus. I mean, I did like Clover in the first game. Trying to think, the rest was Junpei, Akane. Oh yeah, Santa, right, Santa, how could I forget him? I also really like Santa. Like, I don't know, I got really attached to these characters, but I definitely did hate Akane. I mean, Ace, obviously he was made to be hated. And, I mean, I didn't really like Junpei. So, what I like about this game is that I like Sigma way more. He's, like, kind of cool. Even though if you don't know, like, even with the whole plot twist at the end. I like Sigma. And I mean, I like Phi. And, I I mean, Kay, he is nice, depending on the route. But that's kind of where it ends. I mean, Luna's kind of whatever. I mean, Dio... Okay, Dio's supposed to be the villain, but I don't know. In the finale, he's completely knocked out cold. He's kind of already taken care of, so once he disables the bombs, he doesn't do anything anymore. He does pretty hateable stuff, but not nearly as hateable as Ace. Luna's kind of there. She's like the nice girl. I mean, the whole plot twist with the robot is kind of cool, but yeah. I'm sorry. I mean, I liked the Alice ending, and that was kind of nice to get her backstory, but that doesn't negate the fact that I don't like her in any other route at all. So that's a rip. And the thing with Clover is I don't really like. She doesn't have to do that much in this game, and I don't like her. Quark, I mean, I was kind of unnecessarily suspicious of him, but the thing with that is he also doesn't do anything. He's just kind of there. So I was just, I think that I know I was kind of over suspicious of him, right? But the game was always like, oh yeah, he's just a kid, he wouldn't do anything. So, and he was always together with Dio, and when they were to betray. And the thing is, I didn't trust Dio, but I also didn't trust Quark. So I was like, yeah, I don't know. And yeah, Tenmuji, I mean, the twist is kind of cool that he is Junpei, but he kind of doesn't do anything in this game. It's kind of odd. I mean, he knows everything, of course you can tell, but like, he kind of doesn't do a lot. And once it's revealed, it's kind of like sidelined. I mean, I get it, to not spoil the first game, and the first game wasn't that relevant. I mean, purposefully, obviously, so that they're trying to like not reference the first game too much, except for the Clover Road, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't like the characters that much. Yeah, I do kind of like the writing of this one more, or at least I should say the beginning portion, that you just go right into the action. I mean, of course we have a lot of explanations, but like, I'm always annoyed with these kind of stories when the characters wake up and then they have to try to escape, and we know they can't escape, because if they could just escape, then the whole game would like break. So of course they can, but they have to like argue and stuff and be suspicious of one another, and I don't know, that's always annoying. That's also one thing I didn't like about the beginning part of the first game. It really needs a bit time to get going when you like actually start to go to the escape rooms and stuff, but yeah, I don't know. That's what I appreciate about this game. And I mean, obviously this game was made with a flowchart in mind, because the first game obviously didn't have one like the original release, so I like that. And I definitely like the voice acting in this game more than in the re-release of the first game. I mean, I'm aware that the first game originally didn't have any voice acting, and I don't know why. I just think the voice direction is kind of off in the new version of the first game. At some points, I feel like that's probably also one reason why I don't like June, because I really don't like her performance in that game. That really doesn't help her. I mean, it has some really cool, like, some performances are really cool, like especially Santa, but I don't know, it's sometimes a bit stiff, and I'm pretty sure that's just the directions, because all the voice actors are like pretty good normally. So I feel like in this game they actually did like a better like voice direction, so that it didn't like, it sounded natural this time. And I don't know. Yeah, another thing is I like that they have like Zero Senior, Lagomorph or whatever. I mean, I liked him. I mean, I remember there was, I think I talked about that in the first part, that many years ago, this might actually be 10 years ago now that I think about it. Or not, but yeah, I watched the first few parts of a Let's Play. The Let's Play got cancelled because the guy was playing then another game and whatever real life stuff. And I remember being really annoyed at Zero, because I just came from Danganronpa and thought he was just gonna be another Monokuma, also very annoying. So I don't know, I kind of ended up liking Zero. Also like the voice actress, she does a very good job. But yeah, it's kind of sad that he, like, after a while, like, he doesn't return. So, like, I like the concept of having Zero being more active, Like in the first game, it was literally just seek a door that carries a 9, and that is a Q, but whatever. Seek a door, like seek the exit, and then that's it, basically, from 0. And I like that in this game they try to be more, like, have 0 be more involved. But then, since he just kind of vanishes after he explains the rules, it's kind of, yeah, that's kind of whatever. Especially since you skip the text in the tutorial sections anyway, so after you've reached, like, or if you've beaten the tutorial and you've reached the point where 0 is gone, he won't really return until, like, the end, like, that tiny little cutscene where Akane was like, yeah, this is Lagomorph, to do this, and he just does her order or whatever. So that's kind of disappointing, I think. It's weird. I feel like, I mean, it is true that if they overuse 0, he could very easily be annoying, and he wasn't annoying, at least to me, anymore. But I don't know. It felt a bit disappointing, since I don't know. Also, I'm still not sure if I like the reveal that Sigma is 0 or not. I mean, apart from the fact that I just don't understand the timeline. In my head, this is all just a big loop. Like, yes, of course he's gonna end up at the point, and then they're gonna save the world, but you had to have known, like Akane said, they had to have the nonary game, or they had to have that the virus release and the nonary game and bring all the people in, because history was that, and apparently they just knew that. I mean, of course, Akane is an Esper, so I guess she just knows, I guess. But if they knew beforehand, why didn't they try to branch off sooner? Like, if they knew this from the very beginning, like if Akane is outside of time and space, right? If she is on the 4th dimension, and she can, and we know that from the first game, you can influence the past from the future. So if she knew everything from the very, very, very beginning, why didn't she, I don't know, just save the world in the first place? I mean, yes, I guess she needed Kyle, but like, we don't know who Kyle is. Like I said, my guess was that he's Junpei for whatever reason. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird. Why didn't she let all that happen? She didn't need to, right? That's what I don't get. But also, I don't know. I feel like it's weird, because usually I like overly complicated situations like that. Like, I love the reveal in AI the Somnium Files of how the murderer, like in the very bad ending, like how like this, the entire plan of the murderer, and when he switched places, so to say. Like, I really love that the confrontation you have with the murderer, and then obviously you go to the good ending and none of that happened. But like, I really love that, because that was such an overly complicated plot, but at least that was understandable. The first game was also an overly complicated plot that had that we changed the past from the future thing in the end, which was really odd, but at least you understood where this was going, right? And I don't know, in this game I just can't follow. I just can't. I tried and I can't. And that's making me sad. And yeah, it's just so weird. I don't get it. People say that this game is the good one, and they're like, oh yeah, play Virtuous Last Reward. If you like it, you can play the first game, but you don't need to play the first game. This game explains everything relevant. And then I'm like, okay, I played the first game, but I kind of like it more than the second one, than Virtuous Last Reward. So I don't know. I'm conflicted. It's yeah. And obviously I'm only talking about the stories and not about the puzzles, because I suck at the puzzles, okay? If the argument is that the puzzles are better in this one, then that's like immediately shut off. Because I was bad at these puzzles, I was bad at the puzzles in the first game. Although I don't think I had to look up that much in the first game, if I remember correctly. I might not. I did look up a few things, I think, but I don't think I looked up that much, so I feel like this game was harder in the puzzles. But yeah, the puzzles are no factor for me. For me, it's just the story. That's why I want to play these games. So yeah, that I don't get it. I don't get. I don't get the hype. I mean, that's not what I want to say, because I kind of get the hype. I get how people get attached to this, but I just don't feel it myself. I'm also not really disappointed because I didn't. Maybe I am a bit disappointed because I expected more, but that's probably, you know how the thing is when people tell you something, oh, that's so really good, you have to play it, this is amazing, and then you play it, but then it's not as amazing as the people make it out to be, or at least to you, or you don't feel it. It doesn't vibe with you that much, and then you're like, oh well, that's disappointing. I thought this was gonna be amazing. So I feel like there's probably that kind of situation, because with the first game, I was like, yeah, people tell me it's rough around the edges, and it may be good, but the second game is so much better. Just you don't have to play it, right? So your expectations are kind of low. With this game, I had kind of high expectations, especially coming from the first game. When I mean, and I know I did have my criticisms of the first game, and I'm not as crazy, like I'm not in the fandom or anything, right? So I didn't, like, after beating the game, I didn't really continue seeking out content from the game, right? Which is also, I mean, part of that is because of spoilers for the second and third game. So yeah, but still, I didn't need to seek out anything else. I was like, yeah, I'm satisfied with that. And I get it. I had my criticisms, right? I'm not trying to contradict myself, but I don't know. I'm just confused. This is how we can summarize this. I'm confused. And yeah. Anyway, next one is gonna be Zero Time Dilemma. I have already decided. Yeah, I just really want to finish up the series because, I mean, I know I've played Raincoder between the first and the second game, and I don't know if my opinion would be better of this game if I played this immediately after the first game. I think it would actually be worse. So I'm kind of glad that I did that. But now that I have my disappointment already out of my system, I feel like it's fine to play the third game. The weird thing about the third game is people say that it's worse than the second game, or like worse in general, I think, from what I've heard. But the Steam reviews are pretty good. I mean, the Steam reviews say it's pretty camp, and I mean, I like that, and it's crazy. It has a few plot contrivances, but let's be real, this game also has plot contrivances. So, yeah. I mean, all games have plot contrivance, but I don't mind that much if I enjoy the cast and the story itself enough, personally. So, yeah, the Steam reviews are pretty good. I mean, I also saw some negative reviews, but like, I'm kind of hyped. I mean, I kind of want to play this more in a chilled way, in a not high expectations, but not expecting the worst kind of thing. So I'm actually really looking forward to that. So that's why I don't take a break in between these two games, because I really want to play the next game, which I feel like is a good feeling. Even if it maybe end up worse than this game, I don't know. It's probably gonna be something, alright? Like, from the reviews, it's gonna be at least crazy. And if it's crazy, that's good. Yeah. I don't know. If I had to rank this game from all the Ochikoshi games that I have played, like, just for reference, those are 999, this game, AI the Somnium Files, and AI Nirvana Initiative. I think I'd probably rank that even below Nirvana Initiative, because I was kind of disappointed by Nirvana Initiative, but at least that game has plot and is crazy. Like, that game goes hard, even if I don't appreciate some writing choices, I have to like respect like how all out they went with that, and that had tension, and that was really creepy, and that was probably the creepiest game I've played, because I don't play horror games. So yeah, I don't know, it just had more attention. And yeah, so my ranking would be from highest to lowest. I gave the Somnium Files 999. I Nirvana Initiative, and then this game, Virtuous Last Reward. Not sure about Nirvana Initiative and 999. They could switch places depending on which I played last, which is convenient because I both played them quite a time ago. I played Nirvana Initiative on release, and yeah, obviously 999 quite a while ago with Raincoat in between in this game. So yeah, anyway. This part is way too long. It's probably over 2 hours right now if I don't cut this up, but yeah, it's probably over 2 hours now, or close to 2 hours. And I do apologize for that, but like I said, in my mind, the finale can be as long as it wants. So, and as long as it needs to be. And yeah, I really need to get these thoughts out. Like I said, I don't know if I've talked about this during the credits or what I've said during the credits. I don't remember. This is just me after 1 week being like, man, what a game, huh? Like, obviously I didn't expect the epilogue to go that much longer, which it didn't, so it was really hard to motivate myself to record the rest because in my mind I was kind of done with the game. I was like, oh yeah, right, we're finished at the end. But yeah, it wasn't. I am glad that I finished the last piece. I mean, obviously that would have been weird if I was like, oh yeah, I'm not recording anymore. Yeah, I'm glad that I waited a bit to get my thoughts in some kind of order. I hope I didn't forget anything, but yeah, I was actually, I mean, that's a good thing, right? I was thinking about this game a lot and what it meant to me. Kind of just landing in the weirdly disappointed route. But yeah, do tell me, what do you like about this game, or do you like this game? Do you like this one more than the first game, or not? Or are you like me and are like, yeah, kind of like the first one more? Do you like the characters? Please explain to me. I really would love to see more opinions about this game. I mean, things I can seek them out right now because I feel like I'm gonna spoil myself for the Zero Time Dilemma and I don't want that. So I can't really seek out like spoiler-filled opinions because I have a feeling that, or you know how the internet is, and how you get recommended stuff, and so yeah, I just really want to know the opinion on this game because I feel like I could change my opinion. I feel like I'm just maybe not really understanding something, and like there's sometimes that's really the case. Sometimes I read an explanation on something on a game and I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense, that's actually really cool, and then I like that in retrospect more. So yeah, I really do want to know the things people really love about this game so I can love it more. But yeah, obviously if you have criticisms you can write them down anyway. I'm just interested in people's opinions. So anyways, this was this, and the next one will be Zero Time Dilemma. As I said, I'm looking forward to this, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this part, this Let's Play, and I hope I'm gonna see you guys in the next one in Zero Time Dilemma. Bye bye!